Theodore Robert Bundy, known to the world as Ted Bundy, was born in Burlington, Vermont in 1946. His birth was unremarkable, and he was brought into a world that seemed to promise a typical American upbringing. Bundy's early life seemed ordinary. He grew up in a picturesque suburban neighborhood, surrounded by the quintessential elements of 1950s America. Family photos from this time show a seemingly happy child, playing with other children and enjoying the simple pleasures of youth. He was a bright child, described by some as even charismatic. Teachers and classmates often noted his intelligence and charm. In school photos, he appears as a smiling, well-dressed boy, blending in seamlessly with his peers. He excelled in school and showed an aptitude for academics. He was often seen participating in class, receiving awards, and engaging in activities that highlighted his intellectual capabilities. His teachers saw potential in him, believing he could achieve great things. However, beneath the surface of normalcy lurked something darker. Despite his outward appearance, there were subtle signs that all was not well. These signs were often hidden behind his charming facade, making them easy to overlook. There were hints of cruelty towards animals. Some neighbors recalled disturbing incidents where young Ted displayed a troubling lack of empathy. These early acts of cruelty were alarming, yet they were often brushed aside as mere childhood mischief. Some accounts mention Bundy's fascination with knives and violence. He was known to collect knives, and there were unsettling stories of him brandishing them in ways that made others uncomfortable. This fascination was an early indicator of the violent tendencies that would later define his life. These early signs were often dismissed or overlooked. Adults in his life, including teachers and family members, failed to recognize the gravity of his actions. They saw him as just another boy, not realizing the darkness that was beginning to take root. After all, he was just a boy. To those around him, Ted Bundy appeared to be an innocent, well-behaved child. The warning signs were there, but they were masked by his outward charm and intelligence, allowing the darkness within him to grow unnoticed. As Bundy matured, so did his darker impulses. He became increasingly interested in voyeurism and burglary. His outward charm remained, masking the burgeoning sociopath within. Bundy was handsome and charismatic, traits that would later aid him in deceiving countless victims. He craved control and power, often preying on vulnerable young women. His victims often resembled his first love, a young woman who had broken his heart. This rejection fueled his rage and solidified his hatred towards women. Bundy's killing spree began in the early 1970s. He frequented college campuses, often wearing a cast or feigning injury to appear harmless. His modus operandi was to gain his victims' trust, often by posing as an authority figure or someone in need of help. He would lure them to his car, a Volkswagen Beetle, where he had stashed weapons and restraints. Bundy's crimes were brutal and calculated, marked by an escalating level of violence. Bundy's reign of terror was punctuated by several arrests and escapes. His ability to evade capture and manipulate those around him made him one of the most notorious criminals in history. He was first apprehended in Utah in 1975, but escaped custody twice. The first escape occurred when he jumped out of a courthouse library window, and the second when he sawed a hole in the ceiling of his jail cell. His ability to blend in and manipulate those around him was chilling. Bundy could easily charm his way into the lives of unsuspecting victims, using his good looks and charisma to gain their trust. Bundy even represented himself in court, using his knowledge of the law to his advantage. He cross-examined witnesses and presented legal arguments, all while maintaining an air of confidence and control. His escapes only heightened his notoriety, turning him into a macabre celebrity. The media coverage of his trials and escapes captivated the nation, making him a household name. Bundy reveled in the attention, often receiving fan mail from admirers who were captivated by his intelligence and charm. Despite his heinous crimes, he managed to create a bizarre cult of personality around himself, leaving a lasting impact on popular culture and the criminal justice system. Section 5. The Price of Deception. Bundy's crimes finally caught up with him in Florida in 1978. He was arrested for driving a stolen vehicle, and his true identity was soon revealed. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including eyewitness accounts and physical evidence linking him to his victims. During his trials, Bundy continued to deny his crimes, maintaining his innocence despite the mounting evidence. He was ultimately convicted and sentenced to death for multiple murders. Section 6. Bundy's Modus Operandi. Bundy's typical modus operandi involved a few key elements. First, targeting. He was meticulous in selecting his victims, ensuring they fit a specific profile. He targeted young women, often with long, dark hair parted in the middle, resembling his first love. This preference was not random. It was deeply rooted in his psychological makeup and personal history. These women were often alone and in vulnerable situations, such as walking alone at night, waiting at isolated bus stops, or in empty parking lots. Bundy was a predator who thrived on the vulnerability of his targets. Second, disguise and deception. Bundy would often use props like crutches or a fake arm sling to appear non-threatening. These props were carefully chosen to evoke sympathy and lower the guard of his potential victims. He would also impersonate authority figures, such as police officers, or act like someone in need of help to gain his victims' trust. This tactic of deception was crucial in his ability to lure unsuspecting women. Third, luring. He would lure his victims to his Volkswagen Beetle, often asking for help with something simple like carrying books or loading items into his car. The Beetle, an unassuming vehicle, became a trap for many. Finally, control and transport. Once the victims were in his car, he would overpower them, often using handcuffs or other restraints he had hidden. The interior of his car was modified to ensure his victims could not escape. He would then transport them to secluded locations where he would commit his crimes. These locations were carefully chosen to ensure privacy and reduce the risk of being caught. Bundy's ability to control and manipulate his environment was a key factor in his prolonged evasion of law enforcement. Bundy's methods were chillingly effective, allowing him to carry out his heinous acts over a span of several years. His ability to blend into society, coupled with his charm and intelligence, made him one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Understanding Bundy's modus operandi is crucial in comprehending how he managed to evade capture for so long. His tactics were a blend of psychological manipulation, physical control, and meticulous planning. The impact of his crimes left a lasting scar on the communities he terrorized. Memorials and candlelight vigils continue to honor the memory of his victims, serving as a somber reminder of the lives lost to his brutality. Law enforcement agencies have since studied Bundy's methods extensively, using the knowledge gained to improve investigative techniques and prevent similar crimes in the future. His case remains a pivotal study in criminal psychology and law enforcement. Bundy's reign of terror ultimately ended with his capture, trial, and execution. His story serves as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of vigilance in the face of such evil. Section 7. A Legacy of Terror. Ted Bundy's crimes left an indelible mark on American society. His case exposed the vulnerabilities of the criminal justice system and the ease with which a charismatic psychopath could manipulate those around him. Bundy's trial was one of the first to be televised nationally, captivating and horrifying audiences across the country. His case sparked a national conversation about violence against women and the importance of personal safety. Section 8. The Bundy Effect. The fascination with Ted Bundy continues to this day. His case has inspired countless books, documentaries, and even a Netflix series. The enduring interest in Bundy highlights our cultural obsession with true crime and the psychology of serial killers. However, it is crucial to remember that behind the fascination lies a horrific truth. Bundy was a ruthless killer who preyed on innocent women, and his crimes should never be glorified or sensationalized. Section 9. Advancements in Criminal Profiling. Bundy's case also played a significant role in the development of criminal profiling. The FBI's Behavioral Science Unit studied Bundy's crimes, along with those of other serial killers, to develop techniques for identifying and apprehending these dangerous individuals. Bundy's case highlighted the importance of understanding the psychology of serial killers, their motivations, and their modus operandi. This knowledge has since been instrumental in solving countless crimes and bringing other killers to justice. Section 10. Conclusion. The Enduring Shadow. Ted Bundy's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a monster who committed unspeakable acts, yet he remains a source of morbid fascination for many. His case exposed the flaws in the criminal justice system and the need for greater awareness of personal safety. While we can learn from his crimes, we must never forget the victims and the devastating impact Bundy had on their families and loved ones.